me tell y'all something real quick, man. Let me tell y'all something real quick. Jameis Winston is being set up to fail in Tampa. He is. Now, if you want to go ahead and blast Jameis Winston for the turnovers and this and that, go ahead. But the offensive line deserves just as much as the blame as Jameis Winston. This dude has no time to throw. Are you guys watching the Saints game? He's getting absolutely killed back there. Jameis Winston has been hit at least 14 times back there in today's game. This offensive line is setting up Jameis Winston to fail. To fail. And don't bring up the interceptions. I know you guys are going to be like, he's a turnover machine. He threw 3 interceptions. The first interception was not his fault. O.J. Howard did not haul the ball in. That was not his fault. Now, he did throw 2 interceptions. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans, be real with yourself. Be real with yourself, right? This dude is getting killed back there. Absolutely killed back there. And don't say he's holding on to the ball too long and this and that, because he's not. He's getting killed back there. He's getting killed back there. How is he supposed to protect the football when he has to rush to get the ball out quickly because he only has 2 seconds to drop back and throw the football? The offensive line is garbage. It's absolutely garbage. And I mean, it didn't make no sense why Tampa will re-sign some of the offensive linemen that they re-signed in the offseason. It absolutely makes no sense to me that the re-signs that they made in the offseason, because the offensive line is freaking terrible, and the offensive linemen that they re-signed in the offseason weren't even good. So I mean, they absolutely suck. The offensive line is garbage for Tampa. So don't come bashing Jameis Winston, okay? Because you tell me, if you could sit back there and play quarterback and not have a couple of fumbles and not throw a couple of interceptions when you're getting hit every single play behind that offensive line. That offensive line, I thought it was a tragedy, but it's absolutely a comedy. It's going to be, you know what, Tampa Bay fans? It's going to be an absolute comedy when you end up destroying Jameis Winston. He ends up suffering a season-ending injury, and then you have to put Ryan Griffin back there. How about that, huh? It's going to be an absolute tragedy if you end up drafting another quarterback that ends up being a bust. How about that? How about that? You let Jameis Winston go to Chicago. Let Jameis Winston go to New England. Let Jameis Winston go to somebody who will appreciate his talent and surround him with a legitimate offensive line. I see all this bashing about Jameis Winston, but I don't see anything about the offensive line. I don't see anything about the offensive line. I don't. I don't see anything about the offensive line. Everybody just wants to bash Jameis Winston, bash Jameis Winston, bash Jameis Winston, but I don't see nobody talking about the offensive line. Now, you tell me, when you look at quarterbacks who are playing behind garbage offensive lines like Baker Mayfield, right? Baker Mayfield is top 5 in the NFL in turnovers per game, and he's playing behind a garbage offensive line. Now, tell me a quarterback that's playing behind a garbage offensive line that doesn't turn the ball over a lot. You tell me that. Tell me that. Name me a good quarterback that's playing behind a garbage offensive line. I still remember the Jameis Winston fumble versus Oregon. Oh, I mean, look, I'm not denying the fact that Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. He is. But I mean, you cannot ignore the fact that the turnover rate for Jameis Winston is being accelerated because the offensive line is freaking garbage. It's absolutely trash. It is absolutely garbage. It's garbage. Put Jameis Winston on the Chicago Bears. I promise you he would be better if he had a legit offensive line. Just an average offensive line. This offensive line is freaking garbage. He doesn't have no good offensive tackles, which is basically quarterback suicide, because the offensive tackle is one of the most important positions in all of football. That's your blind side. You're supposed to be able to trust your blind side. Your blind side is like your best friend. Well, Jameis Winston's blind side must absolutely hate him because he's getting smashed every single play. So, I mean, if you Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans want to point the blame at the general manager and Bruce Arians for not surrounding Jameis Winston with a solid offensive line, at least an average offensive line. I mean, this is absolutely garbage. It is absolutely garbage. Jameis Winston is about to get killed back there. He's limping right now as we speak. Jameis Winston is on the field limping, still going up throwing passes behind this terrible offensive line. You're setting Jameis Winston up for failure, Tampa. You gave him wide receivers, okay. And a lot of people, all you Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans that's talking about something, he's holding back the wide receivers. Let me tell you something. Tampa would not have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin would not both be in the NFL for top 5 receiving yards on the season if it wasn't for Jameis Winston. Because of how aggressive Jameis Winston is, it's the reason why both of those guys are top 5 in the NFL in receiving yards. Okay, so don't give me that crap about without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin would be a lot better without Jameis Winston. Because they would not. If anything, they benefit from Jameis Winston's aggressiveness because what are Chris Godwin and Mike Evans? They're both good deep threat wide receivers. Now, Chris Godwin's a more intermediate wide receiver. You can throw short routes to him and whatnot. But at the end of the day, Jameis Winston makes those guys better. Okay, so don't give me that crap. Yeah, they might be better with a guy like Tom Brady. But listen, stop trying to compare Jameis Winston to Tom Brady and Drew Brees and whatnot. How about we give Jameis Winston a legit offensive line and then see what he can do? A good offensive line. Since Jameis Winston's time in Tampa, when has he ever had a good offensive line? He has never had a good offensive line during his time in Tampa. So if you guys want to go ahead and point the blame, go ahead and point the blame at the offensive line and stop blaming Jameis Winston for all these free. You guys want to blame everything on Jameis Winston, but nobody wants to give Jameis Winston props when he leaves Tampa to win the game. No, nobody brings that up. Nobody brings about how Jameis Winston always has to carry Tampa on his back, although he digs Tampa on holes, same thing he did with Florida State, but he still brings them back. He still brings Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston still brings Tampa back, and I don't get why Tampa Bay fans are just so ungrateful for Jameis Winston. I know he's a turnover machine, but this dude has no offensive line. No offensive line. You tell me if you could go back there and complete some passes behind that offensive line and not throw no interceptions and not have no fumbles. And I guarantee you have more fumbles and turnovers than Jameis Winston. This dude is getting absolutely crushed back there. The offensive tackle, his blind spots, you might as well replace them. Tampa Bay's offensive line was so bad a couple of weeks ago that they put in backups. Backups. That's how garbage the offensive line is. So instead of worrying about trying to find a new quarterback, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, you guys need to fork up that money to pay my guy Jameis Winston and give my guy the protection that he deserves. Jameis Winston has not had a legit offensive line since he's been drafted from Tampa. Because I guarantee you, if Jameis Winston was playing for the Chicago Bears right now, the Chicago Bears would probably only have 2 losses right now. We'll only have 2 freaking losses. Matt Nagy would love to have Jameis Winston. You know how many franchises would love to have Jameis Winston as their quarterback right now? But yeah, you Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans always want to point the finger at Jameis Winston. Yeah, he's a turnover machine, but the offensive line isn't helping him. Now, you tell me if you could go back there and complete some pass behind that offensive line. You tell me if Tom Brady could go back there and complete some pass behind that offensive line. You tell me. You tell me how is Jameis Winston supposed to succeed when he's surrounded by a terrible offensive line? And I don't like to call nobody terrible at their job because I'm not an NFL player, but I'm trying to tell you guys that I can see a lot better at Jameis Winston if he had a legitimate offensive line. And that's not making excuses, that's just speaking facts. And if you guys think I'm making excuses for Jameis Winston, then you guys go back and watch this Arizona game and you watch New Orleans Saints game. All you got to do is watch all the Tampa Bay Buccaneer games. It's not going to take you. You don't have to go through a lot of games to see Jameis Winston getting killed back there. I don't think you have to search through a lot of games, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, to see Jameis Winston's getting absolutely destroyed back there. I don't think you need to watch a lot of games to figure out that the offensive line is freaking terrible. I don't think that's making excuses. I think that's just stating the real. And the real is the offensive line freaking sucks. Didn't Bruce Arians bench like a couple of starters a couple of weeks ago? Doesn't that tell you that the offensive line is freaking trash? So the fact that Jameis Winston gets so much hate is freaking beyond me. Because the offensive line doesn't get deadly squat. So apparently Jameis Winston is the reason why Tampa loses, but he's never the reason why Tampa wins, isn't he? He's never the reason why Tampa wins. When Jameis Winston carried Tampa on his back last week versus Arizona and led them to win the game, nobody gave him props. Twitter was quiet. But every time Jameis Winston has a bad game, Twitter goes crazy. But nobody wants to blame the offensive line. In all the games that Tampa has lost this year, Jameis Winston has been hit at least 10 or more times in every single game. Every single game. And don't give me that crap he's holding on to the ball too long. I don't want to hear that crap. Because that's not the case on most of the times. Jameis Winston's getting absolutely ramsacked back there. He has no time to throw. It's like Tampa wants this guy to fail. And I heard it was a story that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers general manager has a burner account and he was defending Jameis Winston. If you don't believe me, go ahead and look it up. The GM is defending Jameis Winston, saying that it's not all his fault. And Bruce Arians is defending Jameis Winston, saying that it's not all his fault. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans want to say that Bruce Arians is blind. Are you serious? Are you serious? This is a head coach, Bruce Arians, who is a quarterback whisperer, who has developed several quarterbacks. I'm pretty sure if he says the quarterback isn't all of the problem, then I'm pretty sure the quarterback isn't all of the problem. Like, you guys want to sit here and call Bruce Arians blind like you know anything about coaching. You're a spectator watching the game just like me. You never coached an NFL game. You think a lot of you guys think just because you coach Pop Warner, you know NFL football, you know X's and O's. Now you go tell me you go coach Tampa Bay and you go be a head coach of an NFL team, and you tell me if the offensive line is a reason why Jameis Winston is failing right now. Because Jameis Winston isn't failing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has failed him. He has failed to get legitimate protection back there, and he's getting absolutely killed. And you guys want to call Bruce Arians blind and the general manager blind to the fact that you guys need a quarterback. How about you guys call yourself blind? Are you guys the head coach? Are you guys general manager? You're a spectator just like me watching the game. And if you're watching the game like me, then you see an offensive line back there that's letting Jameis Winston get absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. And if you want to look at how bad the offensive line is, the offensive line has a total pro football focus grade of 56. 56. When you average out all the pro football focus grades for the offensive line, they average at 56. They suck. They suck. I'm not saying that they suck. I'm just saying they suck as professional athletes. They suck at doing their job. That's all I'm saying. I mean, they got benched a couple of weeks ago. I forgot what game it was, but a couple of offensive linemen got benched because of how terrible they were. So the fact that people keep on saying that Bruce Arians and Tampa Bay's general manager is blind to the fact that they need a new quarterback, here's what you guys are going to do. You're going to draft a new quarterback, right? Same thing you guys want to do with Josh Freeman. You're going to draft a new quarterback. You're going to put him behind this offensive line, and he's going to get killed as well. I don't know what Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans think about the organization, but it doesn't matter. You can get a new quarterback, and it's still not going to change because he's still going to be terrible as well behind that terrible offensive line. So it's not going to make a difference who you get at quarterback. They're still going to get freaking destroyed. They're still going to get freaking destroyed. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans can call for Ryan Griffin and whoever you want to play quarterback for Tampa, but the quarterback play is not going to be any different because the offensive line is freaking terrible. The offensive line has an average pro football grade of 56. The offensive line is freaking terrible. If you put Jameis Winston on the Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh would have beaten Cleveland, and Pittsburgh would probably have only lost 2 games. If you guys don't want to appreciate Jameis Winston, give Jameis Winston to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I promise you we will cherish him. I promise you. Because Pittsburgh has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. But yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans want to call Bruce Arians and their general manager blind. Are you guys coaching? I don't think it takes you guys coaching the NFL game to realize that Jameis Winston is getting compromised behind that offensive line. That offensive line is freaking terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. When Tampa Bay was re-signing all the offensive linemen and crap, it made no sense to me. No sense to me. Because they all suck. They all suck. I promise, you see, this how you know it's not all of Jameis Winston's fault. Because a lot of fans on this comment section right here are saying they will take Jameis Winston. Tell me if whoever you're a fan of, tell me if you would pick up Jameis Winston if Tampa Bay was to not re-sign him. Because let me tell you something. That offensive line is god-awful. God-awful. And the fact that you guys are calling the general manager and Bruce Arians blind is beyond me. Because you guys want to draft a new quarterback. You're going to draft a new quarterback, and he's going to get injured as well behind that offensive line. It's no wonder Jameis Winston's still able to stand up. So you guys keep on blaming Jameis Winston for all the losses, but nobody wants to blame Jameis. Nobody wants to give Jameis Winston credit for freaking winning games, for winning football games, right? But I guess that's what comes with playing quarterback in the NFL. You get all the glory, but you get all the blame when you lose, right? Now, ideally, if Jameis Winston wasn't so much of a turnover machine, then Tampa probably would have won that game versus Tennessee. Now I'm not taking away the fact that Jameis Winston is a turnover machine, but I'm just saying the offensive line doesn't help him out. If the offensive line's a lot better, Jameis Winston would probably only be turning the ball over twice per game instead of 4 or something like that. The last INT was on Winston. MCD Sports 4, I said that. I said Jameis Winston against the Saints has only thrown 2 interceptions. First interception was on O.J. Howard because O.J. Howard couldn't bring the ball in. But Jameis Winston has only thrown 2 interceptions. But I mean, at the end of the day, the offensive line is freaking terrible. It's freaking terrible. You Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans can say all you want to about starting Ryan Griffin and drafting a new quarterback. It doesn't matter who you put back there at quarterback because the offensive line still stinks. It still stinks. So before you guys talk about getting a new quarterback, how about you address the main issue, which is the offensive line? It made no sense why Tampa Bay brought back most of their offensive linemen from last year because they're freaking garbage. The offensive line has a Pro Football Focus grade of 56. It sucks. It sucks. And the fact that everybody blames Jameis Winston for the losses and nobody gives some credit for the wins. I mean, what it doesn't matter who you put back there at quarterback for Tampa, they would still get killed. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. And then you guys got to understand the philosophy of the offense. Bruce Arians runs a vertical threat offense. He wants to push the ball down the field, and he likes to take big plays deep. And what comes with running the offense like a Bruce Arians, a vertical offense that's based on pushing the ball downfield, is that comes with a lot of turnovers. That's simply what it is. Anytime you run an offense that involves throwing the ball deep, it's going to come with a lot of freaking turnovers. That's common sense. But a lot of you guys want to call Bruce Arians blind and stuff like that. A lot of you guys on here think just because you coach a Pop Warner game or just because you take over as a head coach of Madden or Connected franchise that you know football and you know X's and O's. But yeah, you guys want to come to me talking about something. I know you never played football because you don't know nothing what you talking about. Most of you guys don't know what you're talking about. Football 101 is if you have an offense that involves throwing the ball deep on vertical passing concepts, there's going to be chances that you have a lot of turnovers because you're taking a lot of shots deep. Plus, you have the fact that the offensive line isn't good. So now you have an offense that involves throwing the ball deep on these vertical routes that have no time to develop because Jameis Winston has no time to sit back there and throw the ball. The offensive line is freaking terrible. It's freaking terrible. It is absolutely garbage. It's absolutely terrible. Tampa has a good team. They have good wide receivers. They have a good tight end. They have a good running back core, but they don't have an offensive line. And if you don't have an offensive line, it doesn't matter what skill position players you have if you don't have an offensive line. Look at Cleveland. Most everybody thought Cleveland was going to go to the playoffs and Cleveland would be one of the better teams in the NFL. But they're not. They're not. You want to know why Cleveland isn't as good as they should be? Because our offensive line freaking sucks. So, I mean, I understand the hate. Yeah, Jameis Winston is a turnover machine, but Jameis Winston could be a lot better if he had a lot better offensive line in front of him. And you Tampa Bay Buck, I know I'm a Jameis Winston fan. He's my favorite player in the NFL, and I'm not trying to be a homer, but I'm just saying, I'm just being non-biased. I'm just calling it what it is. I'm not denying the fact that Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. What I am saying is that Jameis Winston could have a lot less turnovers if the offensive line wasn't let him get killed. But did the Astros really cheat? I don't know, man. I don't keep up with baseball like that. But it's crazy, man. It's so freaking crazy how Jameis Winston gets so much hate, but when he wins games for Tampa, nobody says anything. No, nobody says anything at all. So you guys keep on bashing Jameis Winston, but bash the offensive line as well. That's what I'm saying. We know Jameis Winston's a turnover machine, but the offensive line isn't helping him out. The offensive line isn't doing him any favors. The offensive tackle sucks. The left guard sucks. The right guard, the whole offensive line, you need to throw the whole offensive line away. Besides Alur Murpert or whatever his name is, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Keep him and restart the whole offensive line from scratch. And instead of trying to draft a new quarterback, how about you fork out some money in free agency and trade up in the draft to get a good offensive line and give Jameis Winston a legit chance behind a legit offensive line? Then you judge Jameis Winston. That's what Tampa should do. Tampa should franchise tag Jameis Winston, right? Or make Jameis Winston sign a 1-year deal, right? Then, once you get Jameis Winston to sign that 1-year deal, right? Then you go ahead and fork out that money in free agency, and then get some draft picks in the draft a couple of offensive linemen. Then you give Jameis Winston a legit offensive line. Then you judge him. If Jameis Winston sucks, then he sucks. But I'd rather judge a quarterback based on what he has to work with at his best versus judging what a quarterback does with worse. How can a quarterback really? How can we really know how good a quarterback is when he has nothing around him to work with when it comes to the offensive line? It doesn't matter wide receivers that he has, because football 101 tells you if you don't have a good offensive line, you're not going to have a good team. If you need a good example of that, watch Cleveland. That's football 101. But a lot of you guys act like you know so much about the NFL, like you should be head coach. You be head coach and you draft all these halfbacks and you draft all these wide receivers. You be general manager of Tampa. You let go of Jameis Winston and you draft another quarterback and don't focus on the offensive line and let that quarterback get killed. It doesn't matter if you draft Tua Tagovailoa. Doesn't matter if you draft Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, that quarterback's still going to get compromised behind that terrible offensive line that Tampa has. It doesn't matter. And a lot of you guys keep on calling Bruce Arians blind to the fact and stuff like that. I mean, Jameis Winston is getting killed back there. Lamar Jackson have a good offensive line. Yes, Lamar Jackson does. Yes, Lamar Jackson does. You want to know why? Because the scheme. You feel me? The scheme. Tampa wants to run a vertical offense, a vertical threat offense with all these deep passing concepts, but they don't have the offensive line to do that. They don't have the offensive line time to do that. The offensive line isn't giving Jameis Winston enough chances to let the routes develop. When you look at Arizona had one of the better offensive lines in the NFL when Bruce Arians was a head coach of them. So instead of pointing the blame at Jameis Winston, we need to point the fingers at the offensive line, because the offensive line is freaking garbage. The offensive line is freaking garbage. Now, Bruce Arians did blame some of the wide receivers. And yeah, some of the wide receivers haven't really been finishing their routes. I noticed that. I'm a wide receiver myself. Mike Evans hasn't been finishing some of his routes this year. Mike Evans, he'll run a little bit of the route, but then he'll stop running. I've seen that a lot out of Tampa as well. On these deep passes, Tampa wide receivers don't run, but when the ball comes and it's time to make the adjustment, they just stop running the route. So, I mean, everybody's to blame, but at the end of the day, I think the offensive line deserves at least more to blame than what Jameis Winston is receiving right now, because that offensive line is freaking terrible. The offensive line, Mike Evans would be stupid to ask for a trade, MCD Sports 4. You want to know why? Because Mike Evans is better off with Jameis Winston, because Jameis Winston likes to throw the ball deep and he's super aggressive. Mike Evans in any other system would not be as good as what he is now with Tampa, because Jameis Winston is a super aggressive quarterback. That's why Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are both top 5 in the NFL in receiving yards. When Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans in the Instagram conversation say Mike Evans and Chris Godwin could be a lot better, they have legit quarterback, it absolutely just irks me. It just irks me, right? Now, a lot of people blame Jameis Winston for this, but nobody blames the offensive line. If you go back and you watch the Saints game, Jameis Winston got killed. He got killed versus Arizona last week. He got killed versus Seattle. I mean, what do you want this man to do behind a garbage offensive line? What do you want this dude to be, Superman? Come on, man. Be fair. If we're being fair, Tampa should give Jameis Winston a 1-year contract or hit him with the franchise tag, right? Then spend that money in free agency, working on improving the offensive line. That's all they need. That's all Tampa Bay needs to do right now, right? They need to draft a lot of offensive linemen. For 70% of their picks, they need to draft this straight offensive lineman and pick up guys in free agency, right? Then you give Jameis Winston a legit offensive line, then you can properly judge him. I'm not a fan of judging quarterbacks of what I'm not a fan of judging quarterbacks who are playing on a garbage team. Like, I'm not going to say Josh Rosen is a terrible quarterback when he's playing behind a terrible offensive line. I'm not going to say Ryan Fitzpatrick is a terrible quarterback when he's playing behind a terrible offensive line. I like to judge how good a quarterback is when he have good talent around them to work with. When they have a fair shot. With Tampa Bay fans, you guys aren't giving Jameis Winston a fair shot. You're not giving Jameis Winston a fair shot. Like, come on, man. Like, the offensive line for Tampa has been garbage. So it makes no sense how you want to run these vertical. You want to get these coaches who like to throw the ball downfield and have all these explosive plays in the passing game, but you don't have the offensive line to sit there and let Jameis Winston sit back and throw the ball and let those routes develop. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So Tampa, instead of focusing on getting rid of Jameis Winston, focus on drafting some offensive line and protecting my guy Jameis Winston, because he needs it. And all you guys in the conversation are going to say, you don't know anything about football. Our Football 101 tells you that most of the time, if you have a good quarterback behind a garbage offensive line, he's going to turn the ball over a lot. Especially when you run a vertical threat offense. Anytime you have an offense and a coach that wants to push the ball down deep, that's going to come with turnovers. It's going to come with turnovers. That's just football 101. Anytime you have an offense that likes to throw the ball deep like Tampa, that comes with turnovers. And you want to know why I know that? Because I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. When you look at Ben Roethlisberger over the last couple of seasons, not including this season, but over the last 4 seasons, Pittsburgh like to throw the ball deep to Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown. And Pittsburgh had a vertical passing game. And what came with Ben Roethlisberger in the vertical passing game? A lot of interceptions. A lot of interceptions that made Pittsburgh Steelers fans go, oh, Ben, why would you throw that? That's what comes with running a vertical offense that likes to push the ball downfield. If you have an offense that likes to take a lot of shots deep, that quarterback is going to have a lot of turnovers. That's simply what it is. Because you're running an aggressive offense. When you run an aggressive offense like that, you got to have a quarterback with strong arm and who is aggressive, who isn't scared to take those chances. Because that's when the offense is at its best. And when Jameis Winston is able to have some protection, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is at its best. When Jameis Winston, now I'm not saying that Jameis Winston isn't at fault, because I've said it several times throughout this live stream that Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans just have to accept that. They have to live with it, right? Jameis Winston is going to be like what Eli Manning was when it came to turnovers. Some years he'll have a low turnover rate. Some years he'll have a high turnover rate. That's just comes with having a quarterback like a Jameis Winston in an offense like that. Even Dirk Cutter had a vertical passing offense. That's just what comes with running an offense like that. Unless you want to switch and run a West Coast offense, then yeah, you'll have a lower turnover rate, but you also won't have a lot of scoring in the passing game as well. So, I mean, that's just what Tampa Bay wants to run. Tampa Bay wanted to run Dirk Cutter and Bruce Arians both run a vertical passing offense, which means they want to throw the football deep and they want to be very aggressive. That's what comes with it. That's what comes with it. And I don't think Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans understand that. It feels like Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans are just watching rocks play football with a helmet on. If you don't understand that, then I think maybe you need to re-watch some football videos. There's a lot of YouTubers on here that break down film and stuff like that. Heck, I might do a film breakdown on Jameis Winston and how bad this offensive line is in a couple of months. Because it don't make no sense. The offensive line is freaking terrible. It's freaking terrible. And the fact that Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans just want to hate on Jameis Winston and now the offensive line is freaking pathetic. Pathetic. Be fair. Because if Jameis Winston played on any other team, I promise you he would be an MVP candidate. I promise you. It doesn't matter about the turnovers. Turnovers can be fixed if you have a good offensive line. But Jameis Winston has never had a legit offensive line at Tampa. Ever. I think it was only 1 year Jameis Winston had a good offensive line, and that's his rookie season. He went to the Pro Bowl. Other than that, I don't think Jameis Winston has ever had a good or average offensive line at Tampa. That's just what happens when you run a deep vertical passing offense. If you don't have a good offensive line to protect the quarterback and let those deep passing routes develop, then you're going to have a lot of turnovers, and you're going to get a quarterback that gets hit a lot. So, I mean, I don't know what Tampa Bay Buccaneers are expecting. You can draft another quarterback all you want to, but at the end of the day, the same thing is going to happen. Quarterback's going to have a high turnover rate. Anytime you have an offense that involves deep vertical pass routes that likes to push the ball downfield, it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback. The turnovers are still going to be there, and the turnovers are going to be elevated if you don't have a good offensive line. I don't know how many times I have to prove that point. I don't know. You're running an aggressive offense with when you run an aggressive offense like that likes to push the ball down deep, you gotta have an aggressive quarterback who's not gonna be scared to throw the ball in tight windows and take those chances. I'm a Steelers fan. That's what Pittsburgh did the last couple of seasons. Big Ben was top 5 in the NFL in interceptions thrown per season. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. That's what comes with it. That's what comes with running the offense like that. I'm a Steelers fan. Pittsburgh ran that offense for the last 5 seasons, and Pittsburgh, when Ben Roethlisberger was always top 5 in the NFL in turnovers. That's just what comes with running the offense like that. But the offensive line isn't going to help that out. It's not going to help. Jameis Winston is always going to have a lot of turnovers. That's just what it is. As long as Tampa keeps hiring these coaches that like to throw the ball downfield and like to have all these big explosive plays in the passing game, Jameis Winston is always going to have at least 10 or 15 interceptions per season. That's just what's going to happen. Because you have an aggressive offense, and you need to have an aggressive quarterback who isn't scared to pull the trigger on some of those throws. So, I mean, that's it for this video. I know Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans are still going to cover their ears, and everything is going to go in and out, and they're still going to call me an idiot down in the comment section or whatnot. But, I mean, I don't think you have to be a football fan to understand the fact. All you just got to do is go watch. You don't even have to be a football fan to see how bad the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is. All you just got to do is go rewind this Saints game and watch Jameis Winston get smacked around for 60 minutes. Go back and watch that Arizona Cardinals game and watch Jameis Winston get smacked around for 60 minutes. The offensive line is freaking trash. It was trash last year. It was trash the season before that. And Tampa Bay hasn't did anything to address it. So, I mean, Tampa Bay has bigger problems than Jameis Winston. Because I promise you, several fans right now would take Jameis Winston. I bet you Bears fans would take Jameis Winston over Mitchell Trubisky. So, I mean, that's it, man. I'm done. I know you guys aren't. I know a lot of people aren't going to listen anyway. They're just going to act like Jameis Winston is all the entire problem. But, I mean, I know real.